What's up, everybody? Welcome to my new podcast. I have been working on this for quite some time. I'm so glad that you guys are here with me. I see I got a couple people. People have been waiting for me to do this, so I think this is really, really cool. I have a lot in store for everyone today. First of all, welcome to the show. The show is titled "The Blackprint." So many things happening. Just to kind of give you a little bit of background, I have been working on a book. This is my first book. I won't tell you how long I have been working on this. That's right, man. Let's. I won't say how long I've been working on this book, but it definitely has been some time, and I have gone through or shuffled through a number of titles, and I finally settled on the black print, sort of like the blueprint, of kind of, how I got to where I am, my happiness, this all this self-love that I have now, and just the amazing things that I have going on. I kind of want to give people a behind the scenes, like, an opportunity, I'll say, to kind of look back at my past and see what I've done and how I've maneuvered and how I got to this point right here. So essentially, that's kind of what the book is. It's going to cover a lot of things. In a sense, it's like an autobiography, but then some people may say it's a memoir. I haven't really settled on that yet as far as what I want to call it, but I have been working on it, and my goal is to have that out within the next 3 to 4 months. So I am close to being complete. I am self publishing. So that's going to be coming. But aside from that, this podcast is really about giving you a behind the scenes look at me running UG Digital Media and Publishings. We started as a magazine. So this is actually year number 10, doing very good. I'm finally, just like many businesses out there, I'm finally seeing the profits now. And the money is starting to kind of come in a little bit, and I'm feeling good. I might be feeling myself a little bit, but things are actually going very well. And I just kind of want to give, that inside look, because there's a number of people who ask me how I'm doing certain things or how I get certain things accomplished and how I'm doing so much in so little time and given the other things that I do, obviously to live and, take care of, business and so many other things. So there's a lot of question in there as far as what I'm doing and how I'm making certain things happen. So I want to give that inside look. So, again, the book and then giving a look at that. But then also one of the things that I've always wanted to do was provide resources to other people who are in this business or they want to get in this business and they don't know how to get started, or maybe they live too far from Hollywood or New York or Atlanta or that sort of thing, and they don't feel like they can do it. And I'm in Cleveland, and figuring it out and getting a lot of things done. And obviously I can travel to those locations, but it still can be difficult if you don't have the appropriate resources. So what I'll be doing with this podcast is offering those, some of those resources as well. And then, I kind of want to give a little bit of access to my entertainment friends, my manager friends, my publicist friends, my celebrity friends. And, we can just kind of talk unscripted about life and what's going on and how we're getting certain things done and just that kind of thing. So something unscripted, not necessarily a whole lot of attention put into it, but obviously there is a plan and there is a goal and there is, in a sense, a script. But we'll be having fun with it. So this first episode, I have, I'm gonna say, one of my dearest friends, and we have only been friends for maybe a year, maybe 9, 10 months, maybe 11 months, somewhere around in there, give or take. But this man is amazing. Like, I have done very well with associating myself with people who I believe are on my level or who are higher than me and who are doing some amazing things, and people who I can learn from, which is going to be tip number one. When you have people, when you are bringing people into your circle, you want to focus on bringing people into your life and into your circle who you feel like you can learn from. If I can't learn anything from you, and I mean, obviously we aren't on the same level, and I can't learn anything from you, then you don't belong. And it took me a long time to get to that place. of saying that certain people just do not belong in this space. We get into that place where we feel like we want to take everybody with us, and we start, we start getting some success, and we start doing well, and we start making a little bit of money, and we want to take everybody with us, and everybody should rise because I'm rising. And the reality is, everybody does not belong in your space, and it took me a long time to get there, but I am there. So I am very careful, cautious, and meticulous about who I talk to and who I bring into my circle and into my space, and who I let on my platforms, whether that is an entrepreneur or somebody in the city, or whether it's a celebrity. I don't interview everybody, and I don't bring everybody on my platform, and there's a reason for that. I stick to my guns. In terms of my platforms, I stick to my guns about who I bring on, who I am representing, because ultimately, if I'm bringing them on my platform, then I'm in a sense representing them, and they may not be good for my brand. The things that they're doing, and it's not to put them down or say that they're doing bad, but what they're doing may not be for my brand. So if I can't, in my mind, if I can't flip it and turn it into something positive and make it something bigger than what it is, then I just don't put my hands on it. So I don't interview every celebrity. Um, and there's a number of people who I just don't have any desire to talk to. And I mean, that just is what it is. So all of that aside, my guest tonight has become one of my dearest friends. Like, I look to connect with people, again, who I can learn from, but then people who I can just talk to about whatever. So like, if the world was crashing down and I was under a building and I needed help, I could call this guy, and I know that this guy is going to help me. And we have not met face to face. Obviously, we videoed and that sort of thing, and he's on the podcast now, but we have not met face to face. And I will go even further to say that a lot of my dearest friends and people who will be on this podcast are people who I theoretically have never met face to face. A couple people I met, I won't say by mistake, but I didn't know I was going to meet them, and they just happened to be there. And we may talk about that on the podcast tonight. So that's the cool thing, is that, with my guest tonight, we are going to talk about some things, obviously pertaining to the business and things that we're working on. But again, it's unscripted. So it's not like I have a list of questions that are just lined up to ask him. Like, we are kind of going off the cuff, and just, this is a regular conversation, like if we were just on the phone or we were FaceTiming or whatever, and we were talking. So that's part of the theory of the podcast, is I just want it to be natural and us just have a regular conversation. Obviously, certain things we won't talk about, but certain things, certain things we can put out there. And he's looking like, but now, and I've been on his platform, which, listen, when somebody spotlights me and puts me on their platform, family, like family. So all that said, listen, this ain't no Shannon Sharp introduction, but look, this guy is really amazing. Like, I really appreciate him. Like, I really value him. I value his friendship, and I'm thrilled to have him here on the podcast, especially on this first episode of the Blackprint. So everybody, please help me welcome Michael Finkley. I'm like, he's on mute. I wonder if he remembers he's on mute. What's up, man?
Hello.
What's going on?
Yeah, I had to realize. I'm like, y'all gonna hear this one.
Listen,
Oh
man.
my word, I'm excited. Like, whoa, first guest, first show of a brand new platform. Whoa.
Listen, like, I'm super happy to have you on the platform, and you just don't know. I was like, I really appreciate him. I really value him. Like, I really love you. And I say this to all my friends. And trust me, when I call people my friends, they're really my friends. Like, I'm very meticulous about who I consider a friend and all that kind of stuff. I just think that, again, while we have never, physically been in the same space or met face to face, like, the conversation and the things that you may say to me or I say to you, like, it's stuff that only the people who really care about you and who love you say that kind of stuff. And it's rare that you come in contact with people like yourself who, they may have their platform, but they're willing to help somebody else in terms of their platform. You've shared information with me about how to reach out to people, or who to reach out to, or who I need to call to get to XYZ. I just think that I found something. I know, but I think I found something amazing in you as a friend, and I thoroughly appreciate that. I appreciate you coming on the platform. Um, so much stuff to talk about, obviously. So this is like, I guess, one of our regular conversations, like when we were on the phone or whatever. So it's so much stuff I need to talk to you about. Like, you just did the Stellar Awards, which I think is amazing. And I didn't put two and two together when you were like, I knew you were doing the Stellars, but then you put a post up about your media badges. And I was like, oh, welcome to the club or something. I don't know what I put, but it was something similar to that. And then when I saw you at the Stellar Awards, I was like, oh shit, that's why he did. I don't know. It didn't click. But again, you just did the Stellar Awards. You did the Oscars a couple months ago. Like, that's big shit, man. Like, unscripted for real. That's big shit, man. Like, I think it's amazing. Like, what do you have to say just for those two things alone?
I'm speechless. I really am, because I would have never known a little country boy from South Carolina would be doing all of this. And so I'm grateful. I'm definitely grateful. But just speechless. As you were just literally talking about it, I almost wept, because it's overwhelming, but it's a good overwhelm.
Yeah. I'm learning to, I think I'm learning to appreciate the things that I've done and the opportunities that I've had and the people who I've interviewed. Like, I don't know if this past week you saw, like, I kept labeling the post digging through the crates. So I'm like, I have all these interviews, like probably a stack like this of interviews that are just on paper. So I don't have them on anything, because every time I did interviews, like in the early days, I would print them out. So I had a copy of it. So I was writing for a number of other online magazines and that sort of thing. And I think in my mind, I was just like, I don't know how long they're going to keep that on their website or keep it in their database. And I need to have like a hard copy of it or whatever, just to say that I have this. Now, obviously, this was like 2003, 2004, 2005, 6. So there weren't necessarily a number of ways for me to kind of store that data unless I printed it out. So I have like all these interviews, and I had a box of the mini cassettes that people use like when they're recording their professor at school. And I have no clue what happened to that box of cassettes, because I had tons of interviews on those. So then I was like, oh, well, if I ever want to listen to it again, then I don't know what the hell happened to that. But I was posting these interviews because I'm in this space now where I'm starting to realize all of the things that I have been afforded to do, and the people who I've been, afforded to interview, whether it's the Lil Waynes or, the people from the guys from Dipset, Hell Rail, and Joel Santana, and just like all these people who I've interviewed. And it's crazy that a lot of times I really forget that I've talked to these people until I start looking through that stuff. And then I'm like, oh shit, I did have like this long, lengthy conversation with CeeLo and with who's the guy that managed Sierra in the very beginning? That's Jazzy Faye. So like Jazzy Faye and CeeLo and just all these different people, and Big Boy and Janelle Monáe. And I'm like, I've been able to do so much stuff. So now I'm like, part of me just wants to tell everybody thank you. So I'm like, oh, I remember this, and this was so cool, and I'm so grateful to this person for supporting me in the beginning. I don't know. I'm just in that place, but it's cool to kind of recognize the things that you do and to recognize the impact that it has. Like you going out to cover the Stellar Awards, and the Oscars, like that's dope shit, man. Like that's really, really dope. And it's showing anybody else who wants to get into media who is in what part of South Carolina are you in again?
It's not even on the map.
That's my point. So you're there, but you're able to do all this stuff and you're connecting with these amazing people. And you connected with Tamala Jones. And I'm listen, regardless of anything, I'm still in love with that woman. So and and I know she don't like doing podcasts. So now I'm like, I'm discouraged because she's probably gonna tell me no because she doesn't like doing podcasts. But I think that's cool though, man. Like you do so much stuff and you're showing people coming behind you that it can be done. And when everybody else is telling you no, you can tell yourself yes, and you can make it happen if you want to make it happen. Um, how did you even get into that space of, I guess, wanting to do this and then kind of knowing the things to do or how to reach out to the people to get to who it is that you want, and what gave you the confidence to know that okay, I can make this happen?
Hmm. It started with my mom. My mom was in radio for almost 20 years in our hometown,
And I remember that.
and I always saw the way that she was DJing, she interviewed people, that kind of thing. And I liked that. And I was like, I want to do it, but as I grew up, I'm like, how do I do it?
Right.
So during COVID, it's like we're all twiddling our thumbs during COVID. And I was like, you know what? I want to do it. I don't know where to start. I don't know how to do it, but I'm going to turn on my camera and start talking. And that's what I did. And so as time went on, I think that once you know what you want, it starts there. When you know what you want, um, it continuously grows. Um, oh, 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 you made me cry. This good old makeup. Um, but yeah, so I didn't know how to work any type of equipment or how to reach out to people. I just did. I made it sound good. I used my educational background as a former as an English teacher. I'm an English professor now. Um, and I just, use my words and I reach out to people. And then once you have a system in play,
Yeah.
you just use your system in that realm. So you still, as the process continues, I'm doing this now for almost 5 years, and I'm going into season 8. So once you learn your process and you know how the flow of your show works and how
Yeah.
you work, then it just comes to you. So
Yeah.
yeah, I feel there's no right way. It's just a way, and then you modify and adjust.
How did you deal with the rejection in the beginning? Because I mean, it doing this, I wouldn't imagine that your experience was any better in the very beginning. And I know that when I first started doing it, probably 9 out of 10 people turned me down.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, you get a lot of rejection in the very beginning. So, what kept you going?
You still do. You still do. You
Right.
still do. And it's like you just move on. You just move on. I'm like, I want this great person on my show. Oh my gosh. I
Yeah.
want them on. I want to talk, blah, blah, blah. And I got an email one time from this big star and their team. And they were like, your platform is great. You look good. All the positive stuff. And at the end, it said, we'll pass.
Mhm.
They set me up. They set me up. But I'm like, oh, okay. I guess I'm not that good enough. But then you
Yeah.
move past that. It's like I am, because you can't let one rejection stop you. But look at all the
Absolutely.
stuff that you did do, right? Look at all the people that you have had and the
Yeah.
people that you still keep in contact with, right? And the other people that really want to be on your show. So you can't
Exactly.
let that one rejection stop you. And so I just keep going. It's like, okay, well, and then also too, this happens where at one time they reject or they didn't answer, then some fluke out of anywhere, God, I say, they'll come back to you. It's like a circle.
Yeah.
Because I always say to myself, I want this person on the show. But then after a while, it's like their PR person finds me in some kind of way, and they like, oh, we want our guest to be on your show. I'm like, oh my gosh, I've been wanting this guest for so long. So it works that way too. It
Yeah.
works that way too. So
Absolutely. And I've had that experience. Did I tell you about that? Yeah, I've had.
no,
Oh,
which one?
look, I saw you
We talk
shaking
about
your head.
so much.
Huh?
We talk about so much. Which experience?
So I reached out to do I want to say it? Yeah. I reached out to Golden Brooks, and I kind of got that whole thing. See you laughing because you probably know. Like I reached out and I got that. Well, I was gonna say I got exactly what you got. So I didn't get that about, oh, your platform's good and you look good. It was just we'll pass. So I was like, okay. Like I think in the moment I felt some kind of way. Um because in the very beginning when you're doing this and you get that rejection, it makes you feel a certain kind of way. It makes you feel a certain kind of way because, and I think it was more so because I know that like the content that I'm putting out there is what people say they want. So I'm like, doing what you want, like it's what I want too, but I'm doing what you say you want, and then you don't want it because you really want just the stuff that's out there.
Right.
But nevertheless, I got the will pass, or it might have been a few more words or whatever, but I mean ultimately it was a no. Um I think one of the things that I was able to learn from that experience and what happened after that was that a lot of times it's not the artist or the celebrity, it's their team. And obviously the team is in place to find the biggest platform and the ones with the biggest followers and all of that shit. So even though the followers be fake half the time, but all of that shit.
Well, let me say something about that because what I've learned in this short period of time that I've been doing this is
You've been doing
that,
it 10
especially
years. That's a short period of time.
stop it. You've been doing this a lot longer than me. Um, well, the short period of time I've been doing this, it's like my show. We may not have the biggest following or the the numbers that people are looking for, the viewership that they're looking for. Well, what I tell you about the Think Fam, that family back there, is that we bring influence and we bring quality
Absolutely.
to whatever the conversation looks like and sounds like. It's in depth, and even the guests, the majority of my guests, even after the interview, they'll say, "Thank you for asking questions that matter," or "Thank you for going an extra mile because no one's ever asked me that question before." And that just keeps me going. That so we bring that quality. People cry, people laugh. We may scream out, right? But at the end of the day, we're bringing that influence, and the numbers, and in that realm, the numbers show. And in that realm, that's why the Think Fam keeps coming back for more. That's why I'm still here because of the influence, and because we have that positive influence, we're able to do so much, not only via our show, but even out in the community. I'm on radio just like you are. It's just we could use our voices for so much more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just at the end of all of that, when I did that, kind of like what you said, like she circled back.
Yeah.
And it was like, hey, I really like your platform, but I really want to be part of it. And I didn't really know. We ended up not doing anything anyway, but I think I just was like, what I was able to take away from it is that a lot of times it's not the celebrity or it's not the artist, it's really their team. So that just kind of helped in sense of or in the sense of not taking it so personal, um and just keeping going, like you said, just keep going.
Yeah. You got to.
Yeah.
You have to because again, um, I feel that our platforms and our message are part of a bigger picture. And so we got to keep going because
Yeah.
someone is watching and they look for this content every week. They look for the conversation. Someone needs encouragement. Someone needs that inspiration. So that's why we're both still here.
Yeah. And it's so much that goes into this that a lot of people don't really get to see. Um, what do you think have been like your biggest difficulties? And because you're going into season 8 now, like what's been your biggest difficulties with obviously keeping the show going?
I would say the biggest thing is funding.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
It's funding because many people they look at the show and they're like, "This is what you do full time." I do so much more
yeah,
other things outside this show,
yeah.
um, and it brings in revenue to keep the show going. You
Absolutely.
know, on top of paying my own personal bills and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
And I think that's probably been like my biggest struggle too is obviously the funding.
hmm Yeah, I feel like I don't want for guests because they always come at different directions. So I
Right,
never want for guests. I feel like it's not a well-oiled machine, but in the sense of the process in which we do the show is solid. Um, we look good. We look professional. Even when I was at the award show at the Stellars, they were like, "Oh my gosh, I love your logo," or I love the way you laid it out." Thank you so much.
yeah,
Thank you. Even one of the other medias that were there, they were like, "You were on this virtual interview a few months ago." I'm like, "Yeah, that was me," and they were like,
you say that
"Wonderful.
was me.
Did your background? Like I've been trying to mock your background." I'm like, "Oh." I'm like, this is not a filter. It's actually my background. So
Yeah,
she's like, yeah, I knew you when you walked in the door. I'm like, whoa, so like people, they may not comment, they may not say anything, but people are watching.
right.
People are watching. Yeah.
Um, how long did it take before? Because obviously you're getting guests from every which direction now. Like how long was it before people started reaching out to you to actually be on the show, and you didn't necessarily have to do so much of reaching out to people to see if they'll come on?
I would say during season 2,
Okay. And each of
literally
these seasons have how many episodes?
after maybe 50 or 60.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, my
Um,
season 1 was it was long. So I started cutting it up. But I'm like, we're gonna start here, we're done. In
right.
sequence, Um, but yeah, that's when I started. I felt like I hit it big when I had the first local celebrity here in my hometown. And I'm like, I want you on my show. And she was like, yes, let's do it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I get to interview her like or local
Yeah.
news personality. I'm like, oh my gosh, I get to interview her because she was retiring after 30 years and it was just big hoopla.
Yeah.
And so I think I was the only person like in the podcast realm that reached out to her.
Yeah.
And ever since then, we've been like this. Um, but yeah, after season 2, that's when the PR firm started reaching out, and which really surprised me because the when I first started the show, it was just on the educational aspect of being college and career ready. And I would interview teachers and people from colleges and that kind of thing. But then when I started getting these different requests, we want to talk about our next movie or the next show. Well, I'm like, me?
Yeah.
And so it just kind of blew up from there. Um, but as you said before too, it's now because of what it is. Now I guess I could be a little picky
Yeah.
in that sense, not letting. I'm like, oh, I'm not comfortable with that individual, or
Yeah. Like, did you feel like in the beginning, like you kind of had to take,
yeah,
whoever was going to come on? Okay. Because
I
I
did
did.
because I was trying to get my name out there. I was trying to make that name, but now people are recognizing the brand
Yeah.
in that sense, and it's like, not this time. No, sorry, not this time. Sorry, but not sorry. That kind of thing. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
good to be picky. I like it.
Absolutely. Like I found, obviously with my platforms that I have to be picky, for
Yeah,
what
you
it is that I
have
feel
to.
like I want to put out there and what I want to represent. Like I have to be picky
Yeah.
because if you're not, you'll get some of everybody, and then you look at stuff that they have going on in the background and in their lives, and it's like, is this what I really want to push or what I want to promote or
Mhm.
that sort of thing. So you have to be careful, with who you have on your platforms.
Yeah, especially with a self-named show.
Yeah,
Like Fink is attached to that. Oh no, I'm not. No, no, no. Because
yeah,
when I feel that your brand or whatever you name your platform, in this case is my name, right? That's my first impression. And so when people think about Finkley, I don't want you to think about no, 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 no. I work
right.
too hard for my name. You're
Yeah,
on.
absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. Um, I kind of want to go back to like you just again, you just did the Stellar Awards. Like, what was that whole experience like? Obviously going to the awards, and I guess you can kind of fit like the Oscars or kind of compare the two of that in there too, because I don't know, you just have this idea of what it kind of would be like.
Yeah. So with the Oscars, I wasn't on the red carpet with the Oscars. I actually attended the ceremony, so it was a little bit different.
Yeah,
Sitting in the audience, waiting back, um, in that realm. But going to the Stellars, this is actually my second time going to the Stellars. When it was in Atlanta back in 2022, and then 24 in Las Vegas. Um, I would definitely say this time around it was very, very I wasn't afraid. I wasn't nervous. I wasn't scared. Uh, in that sense, I knew what to expect,
yeah,
um, and what to bring, and how to conduct myself in a very fast moving environment. So preparing myself for that. I even brought my own cameraman from South Carolina to come with me and experience that with me. Um, so yeah, I definitely say that this time around I appreciate it more,
yeah.
in the sense of, okay, this is what it is, and I'm not afraid. I'm not intimidated because when I first went to the first one, I was. I'm like, this is this big star. I'm this little country boy, right?
I was gonna say, what intimidated you?
The status, the status. But I've been
Yeah,
saying when I walked into the room, it was just like, there's Finkley. I'm like, you know me? You know me? Really?
yeah,
They're from PR people. Many of the persons that were on the red carpet were actually on my show. So I remember a lot of them from that.
yeah.
And then just being me, like Vanessa Armstrong. But yeah, that I feel that.
Mhm. Uh-oh, can you hear me?
Yes,
I'm like, uh-oh. I'm like, he froze up for a minute. Can you hear me?
I did. Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. It's like it keeps freezing for a couple seconds. I don't know. Okay. Okay, so
Okay,
we good. Um, I think I would
technology,
have
I tell you.
yeah, I think I would have been intimidated too though. I mean, I can understand why you would go in intimidated. Like it had to be a good feeling though for people to recognize who you were, or for you to see people like, okay, I've had him on the show, or I've interviewed her, or that sort of thing. And kind of on the flip side, for them to see you there, like that has to help your brand tremendously for people now to see you. Oh, he's here. He's at the Oscars.
Definitely, brand
Yeah,
recognition is everything.
yeah,
I definitely have to shout out my graphic designer, Kirby Morrison. Uh, few years ago, I had another logo and things like that. And he's like, this doesn't fit. I'm like, I like it. You are not changing. I'm like, I am like, because they have my signature and everything. I'm like, no, no,
Right.
you're not, no. And then he just stayed on it. I'm like, you know what? Do what you want. So he came up with this. He came up with this little is a cleaner, it fit what daytime looked like
Right.
at the time.
Right.
Um, and so I'm like, okay, I guess we'll go with it. And so bing bada boom.
Okay. Um. Okay. So you went to that, and you were just attending the show. So now, what about like the Stellars, where now you're actually on the red carpet? Like, what was that experience? Because obviously, when you're on the red carpet and they come up to you, you probably have, I'll just say, you got 30 seconds or you got a minute to talk to them and get some questions in and that sort of thing. So, how did you feel, or how was that for you to just kind of be on the spot just like that? Like somebody walks up and you got to have some questions together for them.
I was ready.
Okay, okay, okay. Because I think back to,
I was ready. Literally,
okay,
I prepared for it.
okay. Because I think back to like when I did like the BET Awards, or I did like the Soul Train Awards, like they gave you kind of a book that kind of had like each person and all the stuff that they was working on or the different things that they had. So you kind of had
Mhm,
something to pull from, even though you still had to come up with some
mhm.
questions. You still had something to pull from. Like, was it an experience like that, or you just kind of had to come off the top of your head and just know who they were?
Well, um, you know who the nominees were. You know the categories. They do all this in advance. So I studied that from the website. Um, and just to know how it works. Some of the awards were done at the dinner night before. So when you follow these different people on social media, they post.
Yeah,
And so I'm like, okay, well, they won this, they won that. I'm just keeping all these things in my mind. Well, this person has this single coming out. This person has this because they come out with new music as well during the ceremony. I mean, doing the award show as well. And then if I don't know anything, I was like, well, I know who you are, but
right,
introduce yourself to the Think Fam,
right,
right? So now I have your name. I'm like, okay,
yeah, right,
awesome, right? So, but then just grasping their attention is like you have to have that go getter spirit in the sense of I never forget. I had to do that with I didn't have to do it with, but she recognized like, oh my gosh, I want you to come over and talk to me. Um, Nia Allen,
okay,
one of the gospel singers, and she was standing like far like down the line, and I looked at her. I'm like, yeah. She's like, and she walked over. She walks over. I just started talking to her. I'm like, I love like one of her songs I just love was called Wait. I'm like, I love your song. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait on him. And we
yeah.
just started having this conversation. She was like, oh my gosh, I love you. Thank you so much for the support. Blah blah blah. That's how you get them, right? You're
But
being
that's
your
cool.
authentic self.
But that, I mean, but that's dope though. So like, having done that now and had the experience of doing that, like, was that your first kind of red carpet going out and actually doing it?
No. So this is actually my second time at the Stellars.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
And previous to that, I've done some different red carpets in Atlanta and that kind of place, even local here in South Carolina. But like I said, this time around, I just appreciate it more. I feel like I'm not seasoned, but I'm a little bit more experienced than the last time, and
Right.
it gets better each time you go.
Yeah. I just I like doing the red carpets. Like, obviously, like the first time I did it, I probably was how you were at the Oscars, or not at the Oscars, but just being nervous and like, okay, like, do I really belong here? And should I be in this press junket with all these other people when they got all these cameras and lights and all this shit? And here I am. I'm like, do I really belong here? Um, that was the Soul Train Awards. So like doing that, that was like the first red carpet thing that I
Mhm.
truly did. So it was just like, oh shit, like I'm here. Like I'm actually here. Um so yeah, it was a little bit nerve wracking that first time, but then once I got around to like BET awards and all that kind of stuff, I was like, okay, I'm not necessarily a pro at it, but like I'm so much more comfortable and I know what to expect and I know obviously who's going to be here and that sort of thing. And I think it went definitely like moving forward after the Soul Train Awards. I think it went so much better, and not even that it went bad when I did Soul Train, but I
Mhm.
just think that knowing what to expect and what it's going to be, um, I think it went a whole lot better.
Yeah. But I feel that what people don't realize as well, it's great to be on these different red carpets and things. But what I don't like is, I guess, the timing aspect. I understand that everything has a process. We got there at 10:30 that morning. We didn't leave the red carpet until like 4:30. Then during the award show, you go to a media room and you stay there until you get an opportunity to see another celebrity that was won an award. So we were there from the in that a room from like 4:30 to 8.
Right.
So from 10:30 that morning to 8 o'clock that evening, we're there. We're there.
Yeah, it's a lot because that's kind
That
of how Soul Train was.
that is
So
what I don't like.
yeah, yeah, that's kind of how Soul Train was though. Like we went and the show was on. I'll say it was on Friday, and I think I got there Wednesday. So like
Mm.
Wednesday and Thursday, it was like 8 a.m. until probably 10 p.m. We were there like going over stuff and setting up and getting all this stuff together, so we knew what to expect on Friday, what time to be there, all that kind of stuff, and who was going to be where, and all of that stuff. And then, it was like long, long, long days. And if I told you what they paid, because I actually got paid to be there. If
Oh
I told you
wow.
what they paid me, you wouldn't even, you would be like, what? But I was just like, eh, first media check. I don't care. Like, I'm like, I don't care. First media check. I'm not tripping. I'm not complaining. I'll take it. Um, but no, that's cool though. Seeing that you were there, I was just like, wow, that's like super dope. Like, congratulations to him. Like, I think it's really, really amazing. And I just think that I was going to say it's inspirational, but I think that you're an inspiration just for the things that you're doing, the things that you're accomplishing, the things that again you're showing the people behind you. Now what are the mumbles and the grumbles? What are you saying?
You're not gonna make me cry, sir.
No, you don't need to cry. But I think you and I think many people need to hear when they're doing good and like they're
Thank
really doing something because we don't get it. Like this like trust me, it's not a complaint because this is what I want to do. This is what you want to do. This is what we want to do and what we've been fighting for to be able to do. But it doesn't negate the fact that it can be grueling work, and you will be working on this stuff all day long. And like outside of what you're fulfilling for yourself by doing this, like you're helping so many people to be able to see that they can do this. Like the number one question that I've gotten from so many people was like, how are you getting in touch with these people? Like how are you getting to these people and getting access to these events and interviewing these people and getting through? And there's really an art to it. And I mean, I'm sure you know that as somebody who does it. Like there's an art to it, there's a script to it, and you gotta follow it. Like you have to follow it. But I think that you do. Obviously, your platform does extremely well, but I think that you do really well. Just in terms of what you're delivering to the audience and then what you're delivering to the people who are really paying attention because they want to be able to do this and they feel like they don't have any means to do it or like they can't do it. Like, do you think you would ever start some kind of a program where you're helping people to get into it?
Maybe down the line, maybe that's the educational part of me. Maybe down the line. As of now, I do get a lot of persons that inbox me or we'll have a conversation and they'll say, "How did you do this? Or how did you do that?" I'm like, let's just talk,
Yeah.
right? But yeah, and I wish I had that when I first started, but now I could be that for somebody else.
And that's where I am. Like, I want to be able to do that. Like, because I
Yeah,
wish I had it. Like this is, it's so competitive. And again, it's so grueling and it's hard to get in and it's hard to get contact with people. And I wish I had that kind of help in the very beginning to know
yeah,
what I was doing. Like I had to figure, and I'm sure like you did too, I had to figure shit out for myself.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, a
But
lot.
I don't feel like there's a lot of people who feel because they had to figure it out, you need to figure it out. But the whole idea, at least in my mind, is to be able to help the people behind me to make
Right.
it easier for them. Like it shouldn't be as difficult as it was for us. So why leave it to be, just as difficult or more difficult for the next people? And like getting in touch with these people today, like even though you and I we make it happen, it's not as easy as it was 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. Like a lot of these people, like you could literally like get in touch with them just like that before. Whereas now, like it's hard to get to these people a lot of times. Like a lot of times they have so many people who are in the background and on their team and that sort of stuff that it's hard to get to them.
Depending,
Yeah,
question mark.
depending on yeah.
There are ways.
But we
Depending.
can't always be we all can't be Michael Finkley. So I mean, Nah, I think that's dope. I had every intention of this probably going like an hour and a half, but listen, there's so much that I can obviously talk about even outside of this and just in terms of having a family and doing all kinds of other stuff. And it's like every time I get on the show, a catastrophe happens. So there's a catastrophe kind of going on with with Elijah. Nothing health wise, but there's a catastrophe going on with Elijah right now. So I'm actually gonna have to cut us short so that I
Okay.
can go and pick him up. Like everybody's texting me. I'm like, I'm on the show. Uh, I'm on the show. Can somebody else kind of run? And everybody's clueless at the moment. So I'm gonna have to cut us short for a minute.
Don't worry. Go take care of your son. Go take care of your
Yeah.
son.
Um, listen, I think this was really, really dope. Obviously, this was not all that I had. So we're
You just have to,
probably huh?
I have to come back.
You absolutely have to come back. You absolutely have to come back. And we'll talk some more because I need us to actually do something together. I haven't figured out what that is. And I know I've kind of mentioned that before, but
Mhm.
we got to do something together. So we're going to figure that piece out too. I'm so mad. I hate to do this, but I'm like, I got like, they act like he's dying on the side of the road right now. So I'm like, and it's nothing crazy, but I'm like I gotta run to him though. So we'll get back on. We'll talk some more. I'm sorry to cut us short though, but actually I'm gonna run out of here. I'm gonna actually give you a buzz though,
Okay.
while I'm in the car. So we'll be back on. Everybody that's watching right now, I apologize. We got to shut this down early. This is probably a first, but we are gonna resume. We will be back with Michael Finkley. Thank you so much for coming on, even with everything that's going on. Thank you so much. Listen, man, all the people in my circle are like family to me. So I love you. I appreciate you. And I'm telling all my people that I appreciate you. And I'm in that space where I gotta let people know how I feel and where things are and what I think of them and that sort of thing. So don't be alarmed. But I'm like, I love you. I appreciate you. And
I love you too.
I'm gonna give you a call. All right. Man.
Okay.